Welcome back, lifers, to another episode of Life Points with Ronda. Today's question is, who is Paolo Macchiarini and why has he become such a controversial figure in the medical field? A journey into his career reveals a story of ambition, innovation, and scandal that has rocked the world of medicine. Paolo Macchiarini, an Italian and a thoracic surgeon, was once considered a trailblazer in regenerative medicine. Paolo Macchiarini, once hailed as a groundbreaking scientist and a leading surgeon, captivated many with his charismatic persona and impressive achievements. Clad in his pristine lab coat or surgical attire, his commanding presence and charm made him the epitome of a medical hero. However, this image was misleading as he managed to deceive a vast majority. Macchiarini rose to fame in 2008 following his innovative procedure on Claudia Castillo, a young woman from Barcelona. He crafted a new airway for her using a donor windpipe, stripped of its cells, and then infused with stem cells from Castillo's bone marrow. Castillo's recovery was rapid, and she returned to her normal life, seemingly benefiting from an organ that was adapting like a natural one, without the need for harmful immunosuppressant drugs. This groundbreaking success was celebrated worldwide as a monumental leap in medicine. However, the truth was far from what was portrayed. The severe complications Castillo faced were kept under wraps for a long time. Macchiarini's career trajectory soared, and by 2011 he was a prominent figure at the Karolinska Institute in Sweden, a prestigious medical university linked to the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine. Here he refined his technique, opting for custom-made plastic scaffolds instead of donor windpipes. The first recipient of this new method was Andamariam Biene, a geology doctoral student, whose case was widely publicized, including a feature in the New York Times. Macchiarini's work was seen as a significant advancement in regenerative medicine. NBC's Meredith Vieira, in her documentary titled A Leap of Faith, envisioned a future where damaged or diseased body parts could be replaced with lab-made artificial ones, a future seemingly brought closer by Macchiarini's work. However, this dream soon turned into a nightmare. Macchiarini had implanted his artificial windpipes in over 17 patients globally, most of whom, including Biene, have since passed away. The few survivors, like Castillo, lived despite the artificial windpipes, not because of them. In January 2016, Macchiarini's reputation took a severe hit with a Vanity Fair article exposing his romantic affair with Benita Alexander, an NBC News producer. Alexander, who met Macchiarini while working on A Leap of Faith, broke a fundamental journalism rule by falling for her subject. Their relationship, filled with extravagant wedding plans involving high-profile guests and venues, turned out to be based on Macchiarini's fabrications. This revelation raised questions about Macchiarini's integrity in his professional research. Soon after, a Swedish television exposé titled Experimenten, The Experiments, critically examined Macchiarini's work, suggesting that his artificial windpipes were more harmful than beneficial, a fact he had long concealed. The Karolinska Institute, faced with this scandal, initially promised an investigation, but quickly decided not to renew Macchiarini's contract. His downfall was rapid, but it left lingering questions about why his experiments were allowed to continue for so long. Investigations into the Karolinska Institute and the Karolinska University Hospital revealed numerous issues in how they managed Macchiarini's case. Macchiarini's influence and connections, including support from Harriet Wahlberg, the then vice-chancellor of the Karolinska Institute, played a significant role in his unchecked conduct. His recruitment, despite negative references and questionable claims on his resume, set a precedent for preferential treatment. Macchiarini bypassed standard protocols and regulations, often under the guise of compassionate use, arguing that his treatments were not clinical research but emergency care for patients with no other options. However, this justification was not accepted by later investigations, which found that Macchiarini was indeed conducting clinical research without adhering to patient safety and informed consent principles. Moreover, not all his patients were in critical condition at the time of treatment, as claimed. The scandal had far-reaching consequences, leading to the resignation of key figures at the Karolinska Institute, including the Vice-Chancellor and the Dean of Research. It also raised broader concerns about the hype and potential for fraud in stem cell research, a field that has seen its share of scandals and retractions due to fraudulent activities. The Macchiarini case serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of medical sensationalism
and the need for rigorous scientific scrutiny and ethical considerations in groundbreaking research. His pioneering work focused on using biological and synthetic scaffolds seeded with patients' own stem cells for trachea transplants, a promising concept that held the potential to revolutionize organ transplantation.
However, as the saying goes, all that glitters is not gold. The shimmering promise of Macchiarini's work began to tarnish as disturbing facts came to light. The experimental surgeries, initially hailed as breakthroughs, resulted in a tragic outcome. Out of 8 patients who underwent these procedures, 7 didn't survive. But the fatalities were not the only issue. Allegations of research fraud and unethical behavior began to surface. Macchiarini was accused of falsifying academic credentials, a serious offense in a field where integrity and honesty are paramount. The fallout was swift and severe. Macchiarini's involvement with the prestigious Karolinska Institutet in Sweden led to the resignation of the Secretary of the Nobel Committee for Physiology or Medicine and the Vice-Chancellor of the Institute. The institute terminated its clinical relationship with Macchiarini in 2013, but allowed him to continue as a researcher until 2016 when his research contract was not renewed. Macchiarini then moved to Russia, working at the Kazan Federal University until his project was terminated in 2017. His journey from a promising medical innovator to a disgraced researcher was a shocking fall from grace. Macchiarini's career took a further hit when he was convicted of causing bodily harm and received a suspended sentence, which was later increased to 2 years and 6 months imprisonment. The expert group on scientific misconduct in Sweden found evidence of research fraud by Macchiarini and called for the retraction of several papers. In a field where reputations are built on the bedrock of trust and credibility, Macchiarini's actions had far-reaching implications. His research papers were retracted, received expressions of concern and corrections. His academic credentials and employment history were called into question, casting a long shadow over his once promising career. In summary, the story of Paolo Macchiarini serves as a cautionary tale about the importance of maintaining ethical standards in medical research. His journey from a promising thoracic surgeon to a convicted criminal underscores the devastating consequences of research fraud and unethical behavior. It highlights the need for rigorous oversight and accountability in medical research to protect patients and preserve the integrity of the medical profession. Now, we discuss his narcissist and lies. Benita Alexander's dream wedding, set to be a lavish affair in Italy with an alleged blessing from the Pope, crumbled under the weight of deceit spun by her fiancé, Paolo Macchiarini. As the elaborate plans unraveled, Alexander began to question not only the personal lies told by Macchiarini, but also the integrity of his professional medical career. Alexander, an accomplished documentary TV producer, encountered Macchiarini in 2013 while covering his groundbreaking work in synthetic trachea transplants. Macchiarini, employed by the prestigious Karolinska Institute in Sweden, was renowned for his innovative procedures using plastic tubes lined with patients' stem cells, aimed at regenerating failing organs. Their relationship blossomed under unusual circumstances. Alexander, grappling with her ex-husband's terminal illness, found solace in Macchiarini, who portrayed himself as separated from his wife and awaiting divorce. Their bond deepened, leading to a whirlwind romance filled with luxurious trips, extravagant gifts, and grand gestures of love. Macchiarini's proposal to Alexander in 2013 marked the beginning of their wedding plans, which quickly escalated into a fantasy of grandeur. Macchiarini claimed connections with high-profile figures including the Clintons, the Obamas, and even Pope Francis, and promised a wedding officiated by the Pope himself at the Vatican's summer residence, with performances by Andrea Bocelli and John Legend. However, as the wedding approached, Alexander's world turned upside down. She discovered that the Pope would not be in Italy on their wedding day, and further investigations revealed a series of fabrications by Macchiarini. The castle reservations were non-existent, and there was no evidence of his claimed connections with world leaders or celebrities. To her shock, Macchiarini was still legally married. Amidst personal turmoil, Alexander's concerns about Macchiarini's professional conduct grew. Allegations of scientific misconduct at the Karolinska Institute surfaced, accusing Macchiarini of exaggerating the success of his surgeries and falsifying data. The tragic outcomes of his patients, including the death of a young girl Alexander had grown close to, cast a dark shadow over his acclaimed medical achievements.
The Karolinska Institute initially dismissed the allegations, but mounting pressure and public outcry, fueled by a damning Vanity Fair article and a revealing documentary series titled The Experiments, led to a re-evaluation of Macchiarini's work. The Institute eventually acknowledged his scientific misconduct, and several of his papers on the transplant surgery were retracted. Macchiarini's fall from grace was not just a personal betrayal for Alexander, but also a stark reminder of the potential dangers in the medical field when ambition overshadows ethics. As legal proceedings against Macchiarini unfolded, Alexander hoped for justice, not only for herself, but for the families of the patients whose lives were irrevocably altered by his actions. May we pause for a moment to remember all of the lives lost by his selfish actions. Thank you for watching.